Hello everybody and welcome into the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Truck Series live from the Irish Hills of Michigan International Speedway. Got a good one in store for you here tonight. Final race of the first round of the playoffs. Going to be eliminating a couple guys here tonight, but before we get into that, let's get right into your starting grid, followed by your race info. Taking the pole here tonight for the final race in the round of 16, it will be Jay Stinson in the 98, driver that loves Michigan. We'll see if he can maybe capture his second win of the season here tonight. Jesse Wise will roll off in the second position. It's going to be David Traylor back in third. Clinton Woodby to his outside in fourth, with Joe Yakes fifth. And Mark Beverly in sixth. Colton Hardy back in seventh. Michael Newman in eighth. Jeremy Tolley, the Talladega winner. He knows how to race these giant speedways. He will roll off in ninth. And Nicholas Lawrence rounds out your top 10. Haas Beverly back in the 11th position, with Eric Hegdahl to his outside for Mo Power in 12th. Evan Schilling, Keith Prince making up row number 7. Jonathan Herbert in 15th. And Jesse Calloway rounds out the field tonight. He will roll off in 16th. All right, looking at your race info. It is the winning bid 220 here tonight. That means the distance is going to be 220 miles. That breaks down to 110 laps. 95% fuel, 5 sets of tires tonight, one more than usual. One fast repair as always, fixed setups. And there is, of course, a stage break, which will come on lap 35. 3 green-white checkers. Michigan International Speedway, a 2-mile D-shaped oval. High banking in the corners, a very, very wide racetrack. You're going to see these guys fanning out 4, maybe even 5 wide at certain points in this race. And then 102 degrees going to be the starting track temp. 8-mile-an-hour wind, partly cloudy skies. 81 degrees, beautiful day to go racing in the sim. And we are ready to get it going. We'll talk about the guys that are still in a chance to make it to the next round, the round of 8, once this thing does get rolling. But for now, here we go into the restart zone. Green flag in the air at Michigan. And it's a great start right out of the gate for Jay Stinson. He is quickly going to work his way up to the top of the racetrack as they all dive down into the steeply banked turn number 1 for the first time here tonight. You can already see him fanning out, not quite getting 3 and 4 wide, at least side by side, but you can certainly see the different lanes that are going to be at play here tonight. And now everybody's trying to slot in, usually the high side, the preferred lane on these restarts. If you're going to work the bottom, you got to make the passes quickly because it eats up those tires, and the truck will get loose late in the run here at Michigan if we were to have one. And you know, 35 laps, it's a pretty long run here. And now you see David Traylor jumping into the draft of Jay Stinson. Traylor, you know, he's going to be making it to the next round. I think he might have actually been locked in here tonight with how good he was looking on points. As there's the 69 of Jesse Wise with a powerful move to the inside. He'll take that spot. Oh, man. Then him and Stinson, though, bump doors a little bit. 98 will lose his momentum from that. And just like that, new leader here just 2 laps in. It's Jesse Wise taking over in his Toyota Tundra. Joe Yakes slots it. Oh, he's going to lose it. Jesse Wise is going to go for a spin. Brings the caution out as he saves it. That was the one thing we didn't talk about, and now we're going to have to, because I think that's exactly what happened to Jesse Wise right here, and that is cold tires, something that usually isn't too big of an issue on all tracks. Michigan, I think Atlanta's the other one, but Michigan certainly one of them, that here in the trucks, first couple laps, that truck can spin out and get out from under you a lot quicker than you're ready for until those tires fully get up to temp. A little bit surprised to see it here on lap 3, but, you know, he was hugging the bottom of the racetrack. Shorter radius around, trying to put a lot of wheel into that truck, and just could not quite handle all he was trying to give it here. As we'll go to the chopper view first, and actually, no, I take that back. We're going to go to the cockpit view first, and watch his hands here. You see he's running the preferred lane there just above that first seam, and it just starts to step out, stays in the throttle, and then once he realizes it, it's a little too late to keep the truck straight. He's going for a spin at this point, but does a good job here of just locking it down, letting it go for the spin again. And when you spin, it's harmless. The thing you got to worry about is if you overcorrect and go back up into that outside wall, potentially back into the field. So, great job there by Jesse Wise to minimize what was already looking like a pretty unfortunate situation. As we take a couple different angles of this, see, does the blimp cam show any different here? Watch the back of the truck. Right there. It's already starting to slide. And then David Traylor is going to have to make a little bit of an evasive maneuver himself here to miss the spinning Jesse Wise, but he does a good job at it. Take one more look here from TV1. And then everybody else just shooting the gap up top. Able to miss it. So he gets down into the grass. Not going to do any damage again to the truck, but it may have flat spotted the tires enough to where he'll have to take one of his 5 sets that he's got here tonight. Well, actually, he's got 4 in the pit, so one of his 4 sets he's got laying around. Meanwhile, back up front, 4 laps complete. Keith Prince now being scored as your leader. David Traylor in 2nd. Joe Yakes in 3rd. Jay Stinson 4th. Nicholas Lawrence in 5th. By the way, I don't think we need to flash you back to last week. If you remember, though, Nicholas Lawrence, Keith Prince getting into it after an incident where Lawrence just overshot the corner, got in a little bit too hot, took out Keith Prince, who had already had to use his fast repair early on in the race, and that ended Prince's race. He was not pleased about it, and he made sure to let Lawrence know before the race was done. Went back, or rather, I guess I should say caught up, spun Lawrence around, and then continued on. Wasn't sure if there was going to be a penalty for the 3 truck or not, but it seems like he's been able to find his way to the front here pretty easily with just 4 laps complete, and he is up 13 positions from where he started this race at. So we'll see if we get the one to go signal right here. I would assume we do, and as we get that here, I think that gives us a good chance to talk briefly about what the point scenario was looking like coming into the race here tonight. And after last week at Richmond, and again, this is the final race, so I'll kind of break that down for you in just a moment, but here's how it stands right now. The next round is the round of 10, I believe, the way these guys have it set up. And with that being the case, or if that is the case, I guess I should say, actually, before we do, let's just go over here to the schedule where I know we have it up. That way we don't get anybody confused. And so there you see the races remaining, and there, of course, you can also see that the next round is indeed the round of 10. And so 2 more than what we're used to seeing in most normal playoff formats for the truck guys. But going to be Charlotte Motor Speedway, followed by Bristol Motor Speedway, and then back to a super speedway with Talladega. And then the Championship 5 will be hosted at Kansas. Another great track to see it at. But getting back to the topic at hand, and that is what points are looking like here tonight. With the lead, it's still David Traylor in terms of the points scenario. Joe Yakes 2nd, Eric Hegdahl 3rd, Mark Beverly 4th, Kevin Winker in 5th, Bill Hales in 6th. Keith Prince back in 7th, Jesse Calloway 8th, Jay Stinson 9th, and Clinton Woodby. Right now, the last man in, rounding out your top 10. But, you know, you look at a couple guys that are just outside looking in. Jesse Wise, Michael Newman, even Haas Beverly, Colton Hardy with the win. Could potentially sneak them in. So look for the bright orange banners that you see across the top of the windshield of a lot of these trucks. Those are the guys that are still competing to make it to the round of 10. Green. Still a long ways to go. Green flag back in the air. 6 laps complete at Michigan. Good restart from Keith Prince on the outside. He's going to get clear by, looks like about 3 or 4 truck lengths by the time they get down into turn number 1. 2 by 2, but man, this restart looking a lot more spread out and separated than that first restart. There's Jesse Wise in the 69. He's got a lot of ground to make up, but the good news is he's got a stage break, so you don't have to get it all at once here. Joe Yakes, though, says I'm going for it as he's going to make a dive to the bottom here. Maybe a 2 for 1. Can he make it stick the shorter way around the racetrack? Yes, he does. Joe Yakes is going to pull ahead of Keith Prince to take the lead. Had to get by Traylor, but was able to pull the double and get by both of them. And now you see the 98 here of Jay Stinson wanted to do the same as he was able to get by the 54. Now he's also looking to get by the 3 down into turn number 1. And this side-by-side racing like this, similar to what you would, of course, see at a track like Daytona or Talladega, it's going to stay like this for quite a while. Probably at least about 10 laps, maybe 10 to 15 laps, depending on how bad the tire wear is. And that's because with a track this big, that draft plays a major role. So you don't have to be quite as fast as the guy in front of you down in the corner. As long as you're relatively close, that draft is going to pull you down the straights and bring you right back up to whatever ground that you lost. And here's a cockpit view for David Traylor. And actually, see if we can get a different view here. As these guys get to the back, then we will go back to David Traylor as he's working the inside. And we'll see if he makes a move. Listen to that. Notice how he's not pushing it. You can tell by the throttle input there, he is not pushing that truck as hard as it could go right now. And the reason for that is he's saving tire. And that is how you utilize the draft at its maximum efficiency, is just use whatever tire you need to just to get through the corner to stay close enough not to overdo it. And I can tell you right now, David Traylor is going to have more speed than any of these guys that are burning up their tires right now. You know, Joe Yates continues to lead, and here's a view of how that draft works from Jay Stinson as he stays right in the wake, and look at the time he closes up down the front stretch. It can be up to almost 2/10, I think, depending on how big of a run you've got coming off of turn number 4. So Jay Stinson, again, his last win came at Kentucky this season, so you got to feel like he's due for another one with the run that he's had so far, at least. And then Nicholas Lawrence, not a playoff driver, but still looking to be a potential upset here tonight. If he can find a way to victory lane, it would be, of course, his first win of the season as well. And as it stands right now, your biggest mover inside the top 10 is indeed Keith Prince. And interestingly enough, he's actually fallen back as it stands right now, but tried some strategy. Worked out well initially, but I think now he's going to either need another caution or he's going to hope that we can get to this stage break as soon as possible. He just seems to be struggling a little bit here as he continues to fade to the back now. It is fixed setup, so everybody is driving the exact same truck. But, of course, you can play a little bit of strategy with tires. Then how much you save tires can certainly make you feel like you've got a different truck. Oh, the Ada Lawrence out of line, as he had a big moment similar to what we saw for Jesse Wise earlier. Let's back this up a little bit. And I think the 8 is just going to get a little loose here and drive it down to drive out of the spin. That's exactly what it is. Same spot as Jesse Wise. 3 and 4 seems to be a little tricky for a couple guys so far. But he was able to drive it down to the apron, kept it on the track, kept his foot in it. And as a result, keeps him still inside. Looks like the top 10 for the moment. So single file, but still you could throw. Looks like your top 8 under a blanket who are all within a second of the leader. So I should say within a second of each other. Oh, more contact. Oh, Tolley back up into the jet. Huge hit up and over is Haas Beverly in the 22. As he slides along his roof down the banking at a turn 4. And that truck is not going anywhere. That'll be his first tow bill of the night. Big wreck on lap number 12. Puts us under caution for the second time here tonight. Colton Hardy, another truck involved. Excuse me, Jeremy Tolley, rather. Man, that truck is certainly seen better days as well as the suspension on the right front, it seems like. Yep, there you see it bouncing all around. Quarter panel's gone. Yeah, that truck's junk. He's going to have to go in and use his one fast pair, similar to what Haas Beverly's going to have to do. As there goes the front bumper. He's trying to bulldoze it back, and there it finally goes. All right, well, this looked like another case of just a driver getting loose in 3 and 4. That has certainly been the treacherous side of the racetrack here tonight. And if we go to the blimp cam, actually, we'll go a little bit more of an aerial shot here from the chopper view. Watch Jeremy Tolley as he gets into the corner here. We'll play it slow the first time. He's riding the top of the racetrack, and usually, I will say, usually it's a little bit more stable when you're that high up, but might have been some preliminary contact here between him and Mark Beverly. As they get into the corner here, the 2 is, yep, sure enough, he does. Makes a little bit of contact there with the right rear portion of the bumper of Mark Beverly's truck. And man, I don't know how Mark was able to hold on, but he does. But now Tolley's loose. He's trying to save it, but he's still keeping his foot in it, and that truck starts to work down the racetrack. Looks like initially he does save it, but then that little bit of a second correction is what's going to send him down the track here. And the 12 of Michael Newman's trying to miss it. He's ducking low. Not going to be able to. Gets into him, and then Haas Beverly, look at the contact. Truck gets propelled into the air, and as it hits the wall, almost at the top of the safer barrier, just flips that truck right over. There's the 97 of Colton Hardy. So he also went for a ride, but Haas Beverly certainly getting the worst of this one here as we go to the cockpit view. Sees the sparks from underneath the truck, and you realize at this point, it's a terrible feeling as a driver in the sense of, you know that no matter what you do, you're going to have to pay the tow bill, which is usually a lap loss. So, well, Haas Beverly wasn't doing anything wrong. He got the worst end of the stick here in this wreck, and I want to show you that save for Mark Beverly one more time here from a different angle. I mean, this was incredible stuff, as this was not an easy save to make. So I'm just not sure if Tully misjudged it or thought the 13 was going to go low. But boom, just that slight contact. A little bit of tire smoke from the 13, but then... And watch Haas Beverly here. There's a truck getting ramped up off the initial contact and then turns over once and a half before it lands on its roof. As I think he clips the catch fence just briefly. Colt Hardy rolls down the racetrack. Does a J-turn with that truck to get it back going in the right direction. So as we go back live here, Haas Beverly did make it back out on the racetrack, but he is being scored a lap down. Meanwhile, as we get ready to go back green up front, you've got Clinton Woodby leading, Jay Stinson in second, David Traylor back in third with Joe Yakes in fourth, and Keith Prince currently rounding out your top 5. 14 laps complete of 110 for the winning bid 220. And if you're just tuning in or you've been tuning in, certainly appreciate you being here. Again, next week we'll kick off the round of 10 for these guys. So going to be eliminating 6 of the drivers that have a playoff banner on their truck tonight. And moving on. And it's kind of a shorter playoffs than what we would see, of course, you know, in the NASCAR series where it would go from the round of 16 to the round of... Actually, no, I don't think it goes to the round of 12. It might go to the round of 8 after that. So in that case, it would still be 3 rounds. That championship race is at Kansas, which is about a half a mile shorter than Michigan, but there are some similarities in terms of the way you draft. It's a very high speed mile and a half. There's a lot of throttle time, especially if you're running the top, similar to what we would see at Michigan. By the way, speaking of the top, these guys can run pretty much, I think, full throttle around this racetrack, especially if you're by yourself. But if you're trying to save tire, then you certainly wouldn't want to do that. So green flag back in the air, 15 laps now complete. Clinton Woodby taking notes from what every other leader's done so far tonight on these restarts, and that is to pull away to a quick lead before they get to turn number 1. Woodby looking to see if he can find victory lane here tonight, the Irish Hills, as is, you know, really any driver in the playoffs, unless you're, you know, David Traylor or one of the other guys maybe in the top 3. You know, if you get a win, there's no questions. I mean, you can erase any doubt of how points are going to play out, how consistent you have to be. So that's definitely going to be the mindset, of course, for guys that are maybe just below the cut line. But even some of the guys that are just above it or maybe running towards the middle in terms of that pack for points, maybe going with the same approach as well. Look at this. David Traylor using a little bit of IndyCar technique here as he tries to snake the draft down the front stretch so that Clinton Woodby cannot get any pull. Not going to work though, as that 92 is able to catch right back up. Now he's looking to his outside. He's got to get to the right rear here for a side draft. Can't do it. Does he look for a crossover down the back? He will not. The 3 truck of Keith Prince still in the mix here himself as well. Back in that 4th position right now. Eric Hegdahl 5th. He wants some more as well, but Traylor right now doing everything he can to maintain the clean air while saving tire. But here comes Jay Stinson. Stinson won't be able to do anything as Woodby and Traylor were tandemed up for just a moment. And now David Traylor's going to drop back to the bottom. Now he goes back to the top, trying to keep those 2 even. And remember, the harder you battle, the more that you get stalled out, as Woodby broke the cushion there a little bit. He may have actually clipped the outside wall, and that did allow Stinson to get clear. So I was getting ready to say, the more you battle, the easier it is for guys to pull away and other guys behind you to catch up. And they didn't battle there for very long, as now Stinson is actually going to get a push from Clinton Woodby, who doesn't decide to make a move, but instead pushes the 98 down into turn 3. Oh, Stinson's trying the slide job here. Got to be careful. I don't think he's quite clear. He's not. Clinton Woodby has a choice here. Does he go with one of these 2, or does he split it 3 wide himself? Looks like he's going to go with Jay Stinson, now playing kind of the reverse cat and mouse game that David Traylor was playing, where the 92 knows that if he can keep these 2 battling, he's going to make them wear their stuff out a lot quicker than he's going to wear his stuff out. And oh, Stinson, he got into Woodby. Woodby's going for a slide. He saved it. Oh, man, another really close call. We're going to have to look back at that in just a moment, but 2 wide and 3 wide for second. Oh, now Yakes is going to slip up a little bit. That'll allow the aid of Nicholas Lawrence to try to dive to the inside. Stinson is still protecting for all he's worth, and as he does, back this up and show you one more time what led to almost another caution here, as they're going to come off a 2 here, and Woodby is on the inside. Does Woodby get up? No, Stinson gets loose, and in fact, I think Jay Stinson may have been getting a little bit of help there from out back. Because again, you can push down the straights here, but you got to make sure you're on the straight. If you're not quite on the straight, you try to push, there's a good chance you'll see something like this. And as the 98 slides up, the 54 trailer gives him a little shot, and it just gets the 98 down the track a little bit. And he gets in the 92. Wow, what a save from Woodby. First of all, to miss hitting the inside wall, he had to jerk it back, and then to straighten it out and get back with the pack and somehow stay up in this lead group. What a job by Clinton Woodby. Up front, Jesse Wise, who had trouble on just lap number 3, self-spun, went all the way to the back, but now finds himself back where he felt like he belonged early on in the race, and the 69, at least early on, is showing potentially the most speed that he has had all season, as he still searches for that first win as well. And I mean, if you look up here and you note drivers that are still looking for that first win, there's not many of them, as everybody's been strong. Nicholas Lawrence, of course, one of them, but that's not a playoff driver. Everybody else looks like, at least inside your top at least 8, are all playoff drivers. That's Mark Beverly in the 13, and all this battling out back is slowly but surely starting to let that 69 create that first gap here that we're starting to see, as the draft has just been playing havoc on any leader's chance to really pull away up to this point. And so as Jesse Wise made his move, looks like Nicholas Lawrence doing more of the same. When they cross the stripe this time, it will be 14 laps to go in stage number 1, the only stage of the race. By the way, when that stage is done and we get back to green flag racing, it's going to be, I believe, about 75 laps or so. And so that's a long ways around here in terms of kind of trying to keep that rhythm and keep the focus, but that also means that there's going to be at least 1, potentially 2 green flag pit stops, and that in of itself adds a whole another element in terms of what you got to prepare for. Oh, one wreck it out back. It was Evan Schilling. Did he save it? Yes, he did. Similar to what Clinton Woodby did, but unfortunately, looks like Woodby and Colton Hardy are both going to get involved as a result of that, as there is Colton Hardy trying to get it back going. You see the visual frustration there. He is not happy, and you cannot blame him. It's a playoff driver. Needs a good run here tonight, and he's going to lose the draft, obviously, from this. And unless we get a caution soon, any chance of stage points potentially just went out the window. So let's go see here what exactly happened. It caught my eye, but didn't exactly catch how it happened. I saw Evan Schilling, initially one of the trucks, to get tangled up, and it looks like it is going to be indeed with Colton Hardy here. Coming off of turn 2. Ooh, the 18. I think he did get some help actually there from Clinton Woodby. As, watch Evan Schilling here. It's off the corner. He's a little loose already. And then the 92 just makes slight contact. The right side of the bumper. That gets him down the track into Colton Hardy. Turns Hardy up the track into Woodby. And then the Matt scramble out back to miss him. Tell you what, the 97 definitely got some damage there. The way he hit the front end. And you can see a little bit of damage as well on the back end of that truck. So he'd like to go in for repairs, but he knows how important it is to not lose a lap right here. So he's going to stay out for now. We'll see if he's able to survive here for what's going to be the next 11 laps when they cross the stripe this time. Nicholas Lawrence still rolling up top. Joe Yates, by the way, Atlanta winner in the regular season. He is up to 3rd. That's 2 positions up from where he started this race at. As the 98 on the outside looks to give him a little bit of a push here. That's Jay Stinson. And then on the inside, Hagdahl and Trailer were doing a little bit of tandem drafting there by themselves. Well, we saw Colton Hardy's driver cam, but we do have a couple others here tonight carrying it for us. And one of those is Mark Beverly, league owner and playoff driver out of Salem, Ohio, driving the number 13 Ford F-150 for the Asphalt Outlaws Racing team. And with a great run so far. Say a great run. He is actually two spots down from where he started, so looking to improve a little bit, but all in all, not too bad. He is sitting inside the top 10, so I don't think he'd be too disappointed if you asked him how he felt about his run right now. And then you've got Michael Newman, the driver out of La Crosse, Wisconsin. Not sure if he had damage or if it was from one of the checkup near incidents or something in between, but he has lost touch with that lead draft, and the only truck that he's got to draft with right now is just in front of him, and that is Jonathan Herbert in the 87. We actually saw it in PGR just last night. So shout out to Jonathan. Back up front, Jesse Wise continues to lead, but now Eric Hegdahl starting to apply the pressure. It's 8 laps to go here, rather make it 9 laps to go in this first stage. Got to make a decision here in terms of, do you push the issue now if you're Eric Hegdahl, or do you try to keep saving tire and hope that the 69 is burning his stuff up? What you don't want to do is keep pushing your truck. This is if you're Eric Hegdahl and just falling in the tire tracks. All that's doing is costing you more tire, and you're not really making anything up. So Hegdahl's going to look around here a little bit as he looks to the inside here in turn number 3. Seen a couple people think about trying the slide job here tonight, and nobody's able to completely complete it yet. We've had a couple of close ones, though. As the 11 of Hegdahl is going to stay side by side. It's drag race down the front stretch. This is bringing David Traylor right back into the mix, and this is what we expected. This is what we knew would happen here tonight, is any side-by-side racing that you got would allow for more side-by-side racing as they all just continue to stall each other out. And that time, Jesse Wise with an issue that got him up the track. Oh, one around out back, actually into the wall. Couldn't tell exactly who that was. That was a pretty hard hit. Was that? I'm not sure exactly who that was. Don't think it was. That might have been Jesse Wise. Or was it Jay Stinson? That was hard contact, though. Definitely the elbows out there. Going to be, it looks like, with 29, that gives us still 6 to 7 laps to go here in the stage. Depending on if they throw it at the start or the end. David Traylor, what did I say earlier? I said he was saving tires for a reason so that he could have them later when nobody else did, and that is exactly what it looks like might be happening here for the 54. He had been saving and saving and saving, and it's hard to do just for the fact as a driver that it's just not fun to do. But man, it is fun late in the run when you feel like you have got fresh tires and everybody else is on worn out ones, and you can just climb your way through the field like it's nothing. 29 of 110 laps now complete. By the way, the Charlotte race is on in real life this weekend, of course, with Coke 600. Make sure you check that out. Should be a good one for sure, but not in Charlotte. We're in Michigan right now, and we're going 220 miles total here at the Irish Hills. As Joe Yake now brings himself back up into the mix. David Traylor able to hold on to the lead. Interesting, because the battle we saw towards the end of that first stage was almost a little bit flipped in terms of, you feel like the defensive spot would be on the top, but it seems like right now Traylor's able to hold his own on the bottom. He gets clear, but oh, the 11 of Hegdahl. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if he's going to block that one. Hegdahl's got a massive run and a huge head of steam here as they're going to cross the line side by side. Gap that time around was very, very small. A lot of aggressive racing, though, as the lead pack is trimmed here. It looks like about 7 trucks in total. And yeah, you can see that on the scoring tower. It's Michael Newman right now who leads the second pack, believe it or not. And he is currently sitting in that 8th spot. And I say that second pack, they're still spread out. But you're going to see a couple more guys probably towards the back of this group right here fall off in just a couple laps or so, slowly but surely. And the goal is just to stay up with that leader as long as you can, and the draft is really, really helpful in doing so. You just got to make sure that you at least put together a decent set of corners. Doesn't have to be perfect, but if you can get a decent set of corners, that draft can keep you right up. Some of the fastest guys that we've got in the field here tonight, which right now, to me at least, seems like Hegdahl, who's just now made his way up here, definitely should go down a little bit further. A couple other guys, but even David Traylor, Joe Yakes, top 3, all with a chance to win it, as we're going to be coming now to just 3 laps to go until that stage break. So nobody even thinking about making a pit stop this time, and I guess I should say you really wouldn't necessarily expect one, but you had a little bit of strategy play in mind. Again, we know that the fuel percent is about 95. In terms of how many laps you can go for that, that's where I'm a little unsure. If I had to guess, maybe 30? Just not 100% sure. We know at Daytona on 95% fuel you can run probably exactly 30. This track a little bit shorter, just a little bit less throttle time as well, at least if you're running in the draft. So here we go, going into turn number 3. Does anybody make a peek yet? Nope. Everybody's still content to ride in line. .34 laps now complete when they cross the stripe. David Traylor still leads the way. Mark Beverly in second. Joe Yakes in third. Eric Hegdahl, though, still hanging around the top 5 and fourth. And then there's Lawrence, the non-playoff prodigy, currently sitting in that final top 5 position. Jesse Wise, though, he's not done yet. He's going to keep fighting this thing all the way to the end. Or, well, said he was. So surely hoping he would here. Not sure where he went. Ticket had disappeared. Nonetheless, though, here we go up front. Going to be coming to the final lap. This actually may have been the final lap. It was either this lap or next lap here that ends the stage. But Traylor doesn't look like he's going to push that 13 too hard here. So it tells me he's either okay with it or he wants this. How about a photo finish? Wow, boy, they crossed the line. Probably separated by about half a truck length. And that will be for the stage. What a stage win for David Traylor. Timed it up perfectly and pounced on the opportunity. All right, let's watch this another time. As that finish was really, really good one, to say the least. I didn't think that Traylor even had a chance here once the 13 got to a certain point, but I think that David felt like he had enough momentum up there to make something work, and he was certainly correct at that. Here's from the chopper view. So a close call, but a great finish. See if we can get a better view of just how close it was. And this is, I think, the closest you're going to get, at least from what we've got. And about half a truck length is the distance between the 13 and the 54. So I initially thought maybe the move was too aggressive. Maybe it wasn't at the right time, but I'm going to take it back. David Traylor certainly worked out well in his case right there. All right, going to go take a quick commercial break, but we'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Michigan. Welcome back to the winning bid 220 at Michigan International Speedway. So get ready for the restart. One of the drivers on the field tonight, Michael Newman, giving us a little bit of insight here in the chat. Says Haas Beverly, or looks like Wise, Jesse Wise, have to win to advance. So the 69 of the 22 truck have to win tonight to advance to the next round. And says Bill Hales is out of the top 10. All right, so with that, we set the stage here for the final stage, and it's going to be 39 laps complete. So yeah, it'll be just about, it's 110 laps. I thought it was 105 for just a minute. So that'll give us still another 70, about 70 laps of racing here. 71, 72, something in that sort. Here we go. Green flag back in the air, and a good jump for David Traylor. Doing exactly what, again, every leader's been able to do so well here tonight. Taking the top. Don't have to worry about trying to get up or get down in front of the guy in front of you. Just keep the truck up there. But look at this. He's actually going to lose the lead here before they even get to the exit of turn 2. As David Traylor says, you guys can go ahead and have it. I am going to save some tire. I'll be up here, and then I will be gone and by you later. It's just 40 laps complete. We are still not even really that close yet to the halfway point in this race. And it's certainly one of the longer ones of the season. Definitely going to be a battle of endurance. With 220 miles of this track, each lap not necessarily that fast in terms of lap time, but still these guys are running pretty high speeds here. As we actually look at the dashboard speeds, I think they are probably getting in the 180s down the straights, especially with the draft. If you're in a single file line, getting a lot more pull. The truck's in front of you, breaking up the air. And so here we go as they rocket down the back. Let's see what some of these top speeds are. Joe Yates going to get well over 180. In fact, looks like he's going to get close to almost just tacking 190, but he comes up about a mile an hour short. Michael Newman, well, I was just getting ready to say round out the top 5, but it looks like he might be in a battle here in terms of potentially losing that spot on the inside to the 69 of Jesse Wise. Remember, Wise has to go for win. He's got no fast repairs left. This is the info we've gathered from, of course, what we saw, and then what Michael Newman let us know in the chat. So if you're Jesse Wise here, what's your strategy? I mean, do you go for it? Do you try to get completely to the front? Or do you maybe take it a little bit easy right now, try to save the truck till the end, and then try to go to the front? Whatever it is, though, I love the aggression that I've been seeing out of the 69 so far here tonight. I feel like it's a side of Jesse Wise that I've never seen. And the aggression seems to be paying off, as he has been probably one of the fastest, if not the fastest, trucks on the racetrack for the super short run, the short run, and slightly into the medium run. That truck definitely fell off a little bit, at least last time during the long run, as maybe he just burned his tires up a little bit too much. Still on the inside here of Eric Egdahl, as he's going to hope to get clear and try to potentially slide up off of turn number 2. He's not quite going to be able to do it, though, yet again. Beating and banging off the wall further back is Jeremy Tolley in the 2 truck. And Joe Yates just in front of Keith Prince, as they will now single file out just briefly, though, as now Jesse Wise is going to take another peek to the inside right here. So we look at the pit lane cams, car zooming by again at probably close to, at least in this one, about 190 miles an hour. I think one of the things that makes Michigan one of the coolest racetracks is, again, these seams. You don't want to get a tire stuck on that seam, and you can straddle the seam, but again, it's not preferred. The way it works here in Michigan is those seams almost act as separators for each lane, and again, you want to run in between 2 of the seams, but not necessarily on one of them, at least not for too long. Of course, you can cross it over, as you see that's exactly what Joe Yates did there to get to the apex, and then arcs it out nice and smooth. 43 of 110 laps complete for the winning bid 220 at the Irish Hills. And right now, your top 3 is still Joe Yates, Jesse Wise, and Clinton Woodby. And if we go all the way to the back, I'm not sure what happened to Jesse Calloway, but he is not even showing up here in terms of, he may have had an issue that prevented him from even starting the race. And there's Haas Beverly, who is unfortunately in what looks like here potentially a no-win scenario, as he is, looks like 7 laps down 4 positions, but yeah, 7 laps down here. And so I don't know that Haas Beverly's gonna be able to get back to the front unless he starts getting a lot of cautions right now. But He's got to win to advance, so you know he's going to stay out here and go for it the entire way. But I'm sure he is not too happy about getting involved in that incident earlier that got him upside down and made it so that he unfortunately had to tow and didn't necessarily get, I would say, any other option at least. Diving to the inside now. How about this? Haven't talked about him yet tonight. Actually, well, we did briefly, but haven't talked about what he's doing right here. Jonathan Herbert, and that is screaming his way to the front. Another driver taking the inside, and I feel like as a driver, if you see everybody else doing the same thing, it's really hard to not. And that's because usually when other guys are doing something, it means they're doing something right if you can see it out of your windshield. And so you're trying to copy that, but sometimes you just get just a little bit too aggressive. No harm, no foul. But here on track, these guys have had elbows out all night, but now that they've gotten separated, it seems like things are kind of dociling out here just a little bit, at least for probably 20 to 40 laps or so, as there's really just, there's nothing to do for now except ride. Can't make the green flag stop just yet. You know that there's no money to be paid out anymore I guess I should just say there's no money to be paid out until we get to the end of this race. Stage break's over. But look at this, Jonathan Herbert all the way from about the back to the front, and he should get this pass completed here down into turn number 1. Let's see here. Not quite that time. Not quite going to happen off of turn 2 either. Clinton Woodby sees it, takes advantage, looks 3 wide here on the 88 and the 87. The 92. What can he do here? Does he slide clear? Looks like yes, he does. Clinton Woodby able to power back ahead. Does he slide up as well? Yes, he does. So Clinton Woodby is doing a very, very nice job right now as he was able to reclaim the lead. And now he goes into defense mode here to try to hold everybody else off that's looking to make a move on him here. Colton Hardy asked about his damage earlier and what it looked like. I'm sure he'll potentially text us under the next caution and look a little bit further into it. And actually, I was thinking of something different. No, that wasn't Colton Hardy who I'm thinking about, but you know, what we talked about next week, again, the track that we're heading to, and this will be, we'll pull up the schedule one more time actually as these guys continue to get things sorted out. And so there's the schedule, all the races that we've ran so far, plus the races that we still have to race to, of course, finish the season off. And there's some good tracks and maybe some not so good tracks in the combo, but I think overall the drivers were pretty happy with the schedule. And if you look there for the round of 10, which is where we head next, Charlotte Motor Speedway opens things up. So again, that's a track that's kind of similar to Kansas. You know, at the same time, could, I guess, maybe be considered somewhat similar to Talladega Daytona. I just don't quite see it, but, you know, it's one of those things. Jonathan Herbert now with the lead, 14 spots gained from where he started this race at. And Herbert on the outside here, actually on the inside, and I think he's probably just about at the verge of his truck just completely falling off in terms of handling. As there it goes, right on cue. Goes for a bit of a slide here. Does he hold on to it? Yes, he does. Herbert with a big moment through 1 and 2, but he was able to catch it. Drove back on, got with the rest of the pack, and he's going to be able to stay in the draft here. 50 laps now complete here at Michigan. 3 wide is a stressful place to be in any spot, but especially when you're in the middle. As there's the gearbox view for David Traylor, the nose view, and then the one that probably the most intimidating of them all is the roll bar view. As you can actually see the contact that he made right there with Jesse Wise to try to give him a little shove into the corner, help these two stay out in front for the moment. Now what order they're going to stay out in front, I think that's probably for the drivers to decide themselves, but these two certainly doing a pretty good job of it right now. 51 of 110 laps now complete. Still 2x2. Don't really see much, if any, 3 wide. In fact, I think the only 3 wide that we do see is the 98 there of Colton Hardy, who was just briefly stuck on the outside. Didn't have anywhere to go, but was able to get back down and organized to 2x2 instead of 3x3. And so the next fuel window, at least we assume it would open up. So let's see, they went back green with, we'll call it 40 laps to go and then just take the lap off at the end. So it was 40 laps to go. Or no, excuse me, we got the restart with 40 laps completed. And so we got the restart with 40 laps completed. And so give you about, I'd say 30 laps or so, 70, 72. It's going to be close. I still don't think that anybody's going to be able to make it, obviously not on a one-stop. 2 is going to be really close. That's where I think things will start to get a little more interesting. We'll have to keep a little bit of a closer eye on what everybody decides to do for their set strategy. Would not hurt to hit with a buddy at a track like this. Again, I know it's going to hurt you in the corners, but it's going to pay such dividends in the long run on Wednesdays that you'll probably start winning before you know it. And so now it'll be 54 laps complete. A kid of, yep, excuse me, 53 laps complete. And so as we take 54 this time, how about a little crank it up from Michigan? Here we go.
All right, man, caution is out. Caution is out.
Trouble further back brings out the caution, as that's Evan Schilling. But Nicholas Lawrence was the truck that I think spun in. Not sure if he actually tagged the inside wall or not. Could not quite tell from that vantage point. And we'll look to see here what the damage is looking like. Is yeah, the 8 truck does not look too bad. So maybe he didn't quite reach that inside safer barrier, which would of course be really good news for him. So he'll drive it around here, going for fuel, tires, and some repairs. And we will take a look back at this wreck right here. See exactly what sparks this one. That's Nicholas Lawrence on the outside. I think he's just going to hit the wall and bounce off. Yep. And so as a driver, it's another tough disciplined game, but whenever you go on the wall like that and there's cars behind you, best bet, instead of trying to turn the wheel left, is just keep it right, which he does a good job of right there, but then yeah, it almost looks like he hit a bump or something that bounced him. That was really, really weird. Nonetheless, though, a couple more views. Yeah, certainly, like I said, it was really interesting the way that the wall shot him out. I want to show that cockpit view one more time, and I'll play it in slow motion this time. Right there. See how the way it shoots him out? At this point, he's still got wheel. He's already in the wall. He's going to tag the wall right here, and then watch. He's going to turn the wheel to the right, but just spins around on him here, and nothing he could do. But man, him and Michael Newman, the other truck involved, extraordinarily lucky that they did not scratch a tire, as that, of course, would have been a pretty big job. All right, so as we go back live, Nicholas Lawrence no longer being scored inside the top 5, but it is Jay Stinson, on the other hand, who is being scored as your leader here tonight. Jesse Wise back in second. David Traylor actually going to move up to first. Wise second. Hegdahl third. Jesse Wise in fourth. Actually third, sorry. Keith Brinson fifth. Joe Yake seventh. Mark Beverly back in eighth. Jeremy Tully in ninth. And Colton Hardy eighth. Jeremy Tully was back in seventh. Jay Stinson is in ninth. And Jonathan Herbert rounding out your top 10. All right, going to go take a quick break here as we get geared up for yet another restart. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Michigan. Welcome back to Michigan International Speedway, getting ready for another restart. And here we go. Green flag back in the air. 57, make it 58 of 110 laps complete. Another very uniform looking restart. Nobody's had trouble tonight on the restarts in terms of tire spin or checking up. So I know it's a smaller field, but still, hats off to all the drivers for doing a good job, at least in that sector. Meanwhile, 2x2 here towards the middle portions of the field. What you'd expect to see on a restart. And everybody's going to try to find a spot in line. And again, while we do see plenty of side-by-side at Michigan, there is still a preferred groove, and I think it's got to be that top lane. However, if you're willing to use a little bit of tire, you can make it work just about anywhere. Tippy top, middle, or bottom. As Mark Beverly side-by-side with the 3 of Keith Prince, 87 of Yakes, and the 97 of Hardy. They run nose to tail at the moment. Jeremy Tolley back there as well. And oh, up front, oh my goodness, David Traylor and Mark Beverly came within inches of hitting each other right there. Door to door they go down the backstretch as Mark Beverly wants a chance of potentially grabbing the lead for the first time here tonight. You go to the onboard view, there it is for Mark Beverly as he sees David Traylor out the right side of his windshield. And there's the run for the 54 as he gets cleared. He'll actually drop down. And oh, look at this. Beverly, though, stays high. He knows he's getting a little bit of an arrow push from out back. And it's working pretty well as he was able to close up a little bit, but not enough. David Traylor, seems like his move may have been actually the better one there, as it paid off to the point where he was able to extend his lead just briefly, as again, that's not going to last here with the draft and relatively fresh tires. Ooh, somebody dove way down to the bottom a couple spots back. That was the 88 of Jonathan Herbert. Not sure how that truck was able to stick down there, but it somehow found a way, as now the 97 of Hardy is going to look 3 wide again to the bottom. Would-be going to try to push his teammate here. And look at that, the tandem showing you just how strong it can be. They might get clear here, at least one. Nope. Not by the time they get to turn 1, and Hardy on the absolute bottom of the racetrack. There is no grip down there to make really any speed if you're already arcing it in that low. So they start to slowly get it sorted out towards the middle and back of the pack, but up front, it is still a race for first as Beverly's settled down a little bit. It is now the 87 of Joe Yakes who has decided to go to battle here with David Traylor. And I think David, who we saw being really conservative earlier, is starting to maybe figure out that the later we get into this race, the more and more important it's going to be to have that clean air, especially if we get to a point where, you know, we're expecting this. Oh man, they bumped doors there going into turn 1, but especially if we get to a point where it's the final green flag run, and you never know if you'll get a caution or not, and if you don't, you want to make sure that you've got a good handling truck all the way to the finish. And best way to get handling, believe it or not, is of course clean air. So the 87 of Joe Yakes will now take the lead. Again, last win for him was at Atlanta, Old Atlanta, earlier in the regular season, after an epic last lap duel between him and Isaac Smallwood. Lap car at the end, it might have been, I don't know if it was Jesse Callaway or Jesse Wise, affected that finish a little bit, but nonetheless it was Joe Yakes who got the win there. That secured his ticket to the playoffs, and he didn't have to worry about it for a while, and he's came close a couple times since then to getting number 2, but the drought has continued, and now it's 63 of 110 laps complete. Gonna be 64 when we cross the line, so we are now just about 10 laps or so over halfway through this race, but still a lot of racing to go, and again, still at least one green flag pit stop. In fact, to make it with just one, you figure they could get 30, probably about 32 if it was Daytona, maybe 34, a couple more than that. I think they'll be able to make it on one more stop from here, as long as they pit relatively late in the window. I don't think you would obviously want to pit now, as that window is not quite open just yet. So you might want to wait another 10, 15 laps or so. See what strategies everybody decides to go with. Still 2x2, by the way. The middle portions of the pack, they just cannot seem to get it figured out who wants to go where and who wants to lead what. And it's not like Daytona and Talladega where if you're constantly pushing, the guys up front are going to be able to just push away. However, they will slowly but surely pull away, and once they eventually break the draft off from the leaders to anybody else, That gap will start really stretching out from that point on. And, you know, if you're Joe Yakes, David Traylor, or Mark Beverly, I don't really know what's going through your head right now. Do you want a caution? Do you not? I mean, I could see both sides depending on different guys, different strategies, and different styles of racing. Some of them like the short run. Some of them like the long run. I'll tell you who would really like a short run here tonight, and that is Jesse Wise. If he could get, or be in a good position rather, at the right time. And oh, got a spinner. Caution's out. One around. Can't tell exactly who it is. Oh, there was contact. That's Jeremy Tolley. As the 2 comes to a halt just past the pit entry commitment line. Looks like he is going to be able to get that truck back rolling. And Eric Hegdahl getting reports that he may have sustained some damage from this as well. So here you go. This is from the chopper view. Tolley had issues earlier. I don't know if this is the same exact thing right here, but let's watch Hegdahl first. Oh, the 88 of Herbert. Oh, ow. It's a hard hit for a couple of different guys there. As watch this again, play it slow for you. The 87 of Herbert, I think he just gets loose and washes down. And when he does, well, it's trouble. All right, so watch this in slow motion here. And we're probably going to go back to the chopper view. Make this a little bit easier to see. There's the 88. Again, I'm just not sure if he's getting loose or he's just turning down in the corner. As watch the back end of the truck. Does it look like it starts to slide? It does. He may have very well been getting loose. And then when he gets into Tolley, it sends him up the racetrack. And he just clobbers Hegdahl. Both of those trucks back it in hard into the outside wall. And then Tolley ended up going back down as he was trying to miss it, and that's where he sustained the majority of his damage as well. Who's that that hit him? I think that was Clinton Woodby. Getting another really big hit. Going to tear up a lot more race cars. Some guys don't have fat spurs anymore, so we'll see if that's any of these ones, or if they're all able to get it patched up here and get back out here. All right, so as we do indeed go back live, Joe Yakes still being scored as your leader. David Traylor in second, Mark Beverly in third, Jesse Wise fourth, Evan Schilling rounding out your top 5. Colton Hardy back in 6th, Eric Hegdahl in 7th, Keith Prince in 8th, Jay Stinson in 9th, and Nicholas Lawrence currently rounding out your top 10. All right, well, as we get ready here for another restart, let's see if we can get an interview here with one of the drivers. See if we can maybe get someone that we haven't had the chance to talk to a ton this season. And I'd like to see if we can get a word here with Jesse Wise, as he's been having a good day and needs a win, so see if we can get a word with him. Hey Jesse, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
What's up, Austin?
Well, not much, man. Here we are. Got a win to get in. How's the truck feeling so far?
It feels like it's on rails right now. I like it. Feels good.
I was going to say, you certainly look like you're on rails, but you know, it's certainly been an endurance race. This is one of the longer races of the season, 220 miles around Michigan, and you know, we still got a long ways to go here. It's going to be about 40 laps, maybe a couple more. So what's the strategy now the rest of the way, now that you know that you've got a fast truck? Do you continuously try to fight to the front, or do you maybe save a little tire in there and then go later?
Right now I'm probably gonna save a little tire. Probably take a pit stop here in a little bit, and then just see how this race plays out. Leave a set on the box in case we got a late race caution. So
sounds like a good strategy. Well, hey, we appreciate you talking to us. Good luck the rest of the way, and we'll see if you can get that first victory at the most crucial time you could get one here tonight.
Thank you, Austin.
Here you go, Jesse Wise. And I feel like I may have put that a little blunt, but I mean, hey, as a driver, getting your first win in a must-win scenario, you know that's a good feeling because you knew you had to do it, and the fact that you went out there and did it gives you all the confidence that you would have needed. As we get ready for this restart, it looks like Yakes and Traylor are going to be the front row again, and we'll see if the outside gets as good of a jump as it has been the last couple of restarts. So yeah, it's going to be exactly 69 laps complete, so that should give us 42 laps to go at Michigan, about 6 laps or so more than total distance that we ran in stage number 1. Yakes looking for his second win. Just behind him, Mark Beverly looking for, I believe, his third win. And then Jesse Wise, Evan Schilling, Those two trucks are looking for their first win. All right, here we go. Pace truck pulls off field back into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back in the air at Michigan. Good restart for Joe Yakes from the bottom. This time, though, he is going to have to get clear, so he does jump up. That's the first time we've seen somebody go to the bottom instead of the top, as they are 2 by 2 and clustered up a couple rows back. And this is all the battle for, it looks like, 4th right now. Evan Schilling leading that battle. And the more aggressive they race, the easier it is for them to all lose touch. But how about the onboard view here for Keith Prince? Shows you just how hectic it is. Looks like the interstate traffic, and he's got nowhere to go either. There's guys all around him, so he's kind of committed to his lane. You got to find those holes. Once in a while they open up, and there's one in the middle. Nope, never mind. Colton Hardy's running up just a little bit to make sure the 3 of Prince cannot try that. And now, of course, back up front, they've got a battle going on amongst themselves, as those are 3 really good-looking trucks. David Traylor on the inside, Mark Beverly up top, and then leading the way still is Joe Yakes. In fact, I want to zoom in on David Traylor's truck here just a little bit in just a moment, but that reminds me, and we meant to put this up at the tip of the broadcast, so I do apologize for that. But hey, we still got 40 laps to go, so plenty of time. There was a paint contest tonight for who had the best patriotic paint scheme, and we actually have a voting sheet for you again. We've had one before. I think it was, I forgot when it was for. It might have been for Throwback. I think that's what it was, for Throwback weekend. And so we put the link there for you in the chat to Google form. Make sure you go fill it out and vote for, again, your favorite patriotic scheme. Now, before you do, we're getting ready to go through them all if you want to wait before you decide. And so here we go. Let's start. Again, not everybody had to necessarily have one, but again, I believe the theme was patriotic. And so we'll go to TV1 here. Most zoomed in view we can get, actually, and see what we've got. So there's Jay Stinson. He's got the orange and white, but he's got the American flag on the side. It's the Coast Guard scheme. That's a beautiful looking truck with the bright orange colors. Joe Yakes running the same paint scheme as he's normally got on, but Mark Beverly, another red, white, and blue truck, alongside with one of his best competitors in terms of leading the points, I should say. I was getting ready to say teammates. And I don't remember if these two are necessarily teammates, but it's David Traylor, who's also got a beautiful blue, red, white, and blue paint scheme on tonight. And we go back another row. Just behind them, Eric Hegdahl, same paint scheme for him as usual. Same thing for Nicholas Lawrence and Jesse Wise. And you've got Evan Schilling. No different scheme for him. Colton Hardy, he's got the winning bid scheme, but again, doesn't look like anything necessarily special from what we're used to seeing, at least. Michael Newman running his regular paint scheme, as is Jeremy Tolley, Jonathan Herbert as well. And so it's actually, looks like Haas Beverly, who all 7 laps down, did bring certainly a beautiful looking truck into the race here tonight, and didn't get to show it as much as he certainly would have liked to. So, unfortunate news there for Haas Beverly, not in terms of the paint scheme, but in terms of, I'm looking here, and he's still 5 laps down, so made a little bit of progress, but unfortunately just not nearly enough with the amount of laps that we have left. He's going to need some more cautions, and he's going to need them really, really shortly here. So, by the way, Herbert actually does have a special scheme on here tonight. Had to do a double take at it. As you see, he's got the American flag colors there, and a pretty cool looking pattern. I like the way the grill's set up, but heavily damaged right now due to a couple incidents earlier that he was involved in. And so there you have it. Those are your patriotic paint schemes here tonight. Again, if you want to vote for your favorite one, go to that Google sheet and make sure you vote for your favorite driver. 3 wide. Ooh, look at this. 2 trucks now going to come up to the mix. Nobody going to have anywhere to go, though, as they are 3 abreast for the lead. On the bottom, it's Keith Prince. In the middle, it's Joe Yakes, and Jay Stinson leads up top. Keith Prince, one of those drivers who he's made it into the playoffs, and you expect at least that he was going to go pretty deep, but he's not been able to find that first win yet. And right now, this could be a prime position. Still plenty of laps left. And in fact, I believe it's going to be close on if there's still a pit stop. There might still be one more green flag stop. But, I mean, Keith Prince right now, this is all he could ask for here if he's able to hold on. But again, usually with the way it works here at Michigan with tire wear, guys who you see that are fast out of the gate or early on off of a restart, that speed usually doesn't hold out too well or translate to the long run too well as those tires get burnt up. But Jay Stinson, he's in the same boat, and he seems right now like he wants to continue to use these tires for what he can. So they will stay side by side this time into turn number 3. Nobody giving way just yet, but now it finally looks like the 3 of Keith Prince is going to have enough momentum on the bottom to get clear of Stinson before they get off of turn number 4. And I wonder if Stinson there didn't maybe back it down just a little bit and say, you can have this spot, man. We're going to stay pretty close together, and I'm going to save a little bit more tire than what you're doing right now. Trailer and Yates, though, still side by side. As, boy, it's getting really tight here off of turn 2. Everybody's getting closer and closer to that outside wall, and that's just trying to pick up the throttle sooner and sooner. And it's great when it works, but if you push just a little bit too much, it's not going to work. All right, so when we hit lap 80, that'll put us at 30 laps to go. And we look back towards the back of the field again here and go through a brief running order here and brief breakdown. As there's Haas Beverly, trucks clean, but incident early, flipped over actually, and ended up finding himself in 6:15, 5 laps down. Just has not been able to recover since. Jonathan Herbert back in that 14th position as he was involved in one incident here tonight. Jeremy Tolley down 4 from where he started. Another driver who's involved in a couple different incidents here tonight, Michael Newman, back in 12th after he was involved in an incident that was not his fault, but overall I think the 12's just been struggling a little bit here tonight. Clinton Woodby sitting in that 11th spot, and then the last man inside the top 10, Colton Hardy. Here we go, pit stop's underway. Well, boy, this is going to answer that question. Is I assume these guys here are pitting maybe right as the window opened, and it is 2 teammates. Should be a shocker there, I guess. Clinton Woodby and Colton Hardy, but I'm just surprised to see anybody going in this soon. We'll see how the rest of the field reacts now. Will that draw in more people to pits? Or does everybody stay out and trust their own gut about how the strategy is going to work out? Let's find out right here. Jay Stinson gets clear of Keith Prince. He'll jump up. Prince looking for a crossover. Watch the pit entry here. We're going to go to pit lane 2. See, do we have anybody peel off? It does not look like we did. And there's the pit lane. And these guys, looks like they lost about a lap. Yep, certainly going to lose indeed a lap. But I mean, overall, looks like they did a pretty good job getting in and out of the box, executing, and those 2 pitting together, being teammates. That's good news because they're not going to race each other in the corners. What they are going to do, though, is push each other down the straights, and you'd be amazed at how quickly they will make progress doing that strategy. So there's Woodby in the 97. Looks like they might pick up the 18 of Schilling here as well. So we'll see how that either helps them or hurts them. I would think it would help them. And if they can catch back up to the leaders here, which they should be able to of course get that lap back, the sooner they're in that draft, the less work they'll have to do in fighting to get it. And it looks like as it stands right now, they are within draft range, or at least really close to it. And there you hear it on new tires. Clinton Woodby is wide open. You compare that to somebody in the draft, it is anything but. Is now 3 wide again up front for the lead. Fanning out, Joe Yates in the middle. On the bottom, it's Keith Prince. Jay Stinson still up top. Stinson's going to get clear up top. Prince still holding strong down low. Anybody bring it in this time? Nope. I thought we were going to have somebody peel off there who was hung on the bottom. So that was David Trailer, but decides better of it. And still 3 wide action going on with this group. Saw towards the back of that little group that it was 3 wide for just a brief moment, but it goes away now. Prince still on the bottom. I can't believe that this run that we've had here. How long? Oh, Stinson gets down into Woodby and he's going to wreck. No. Oh, man. Caution is back out. We have got a mess. Clinton Woodby's in it, and that is going to kill the strategy for him and Colton Hardy. Not just kill the strategy, but potentially kill a couple of race cars as well. And man, it happened at the worst time too. It was just as they had caught that pack. Colton Hardy frustrated again, and again, you cannot blame him. It's just been that kind of night, and this is bad news too, because he's on the pits, and this truck might be toast. I'm looking at the left front, and it's not good. So that may have potentially brought an end to Colton Hardy's playoff hopes. As we again flash back to what the point standings are for Colton Hardy coming into this, he was 15th, so he was not locked in as it stood, and it just didn't work out. So Colton Hardy, you can understand the frustration, as looks like that is potentially going to bring his season, at least the chance to fight for a championship this season, to an end. All right, well, let's go back and take a look at it here and figure out exactly where it all goes wrong. Starts with Jay Stinson. And watch here. Again, this was just as Hardy would be, and all these guys had caught up. And I said they were coming quick, and they did get there pretty fast. All right, here we go. Watch Stinson. He's up top. I think he just gets loose. I don't think he gets any help here as he's washing up the track. Maybe puts a little bit more wheel into the truck, and you see it already starting to slip out. Clinton Woodby shooting the middle. And actually, there might have been a little bit of netco between Woodby and Trailer, but they don't wreck. They don't have an issue. It's when 98 gets down the track as he's spinning and gets into Clinton Woodby. And then as he comes back up, you see the damage from there. Mark Beverly had absolutely nowhere to go. And then a little friendly fire there as Woodby was out of control. And it ends up being Colton Hardy who tags him. That broke the suspension, and it sends Hardy back into the outside wall to give him even more damage. So this is the onboard view for Stinson. Just gets loose, trying to save it, but there's not enough racetrack to do it. Hard hit for a couple of these guys. Mark Beverly, I think, definitely got, I would say, the worst of it there. As you see that truck. He's lucky that he was able to roll away from that with the damage he sustained. And Jay Stinson went up on his hood. And then watch the contact there for Hardy and Woodby. And that broke, again, that broke the suspension for Colton Hardy. And that's what shot him back into the outside wall. An interesting way to break the suspension. I know it was a hard hit, but usually you don't see it jerk a truck like this hard. Yeah, it jerked it right into the wall. And now he's trying to steer it off, and he realizes now the suspension's broke, but give you one or two more angles of this one here. First from the blimp cam at full speed, a little bit of a wider view showing you all the trucks and how they get involved. So it's going to chalk up as about a 4 or 5 car incident in total. And we take one more look here from TV, go to TV 3 here. Actually, take that back. We'll go to TV 2. There's the first hit, and if Stinson and Woodby both shoot down low, it probably doesn't collect as many people as it does. Stinson walks away relatively unscathed, not completely, but again, that's why we'll say relatively. Now, as we do go back live, 85 laps complete. Keith Prince being scored as your leader. David Traylor in second with Joe Yates in third. Nicholas Lawrence fourth. Eric Hegdahl in fifth. Jesse Wise back in sixth. Michael Newman 7th, Mark Beverly in 8th, Jonathan Herbert in 9th, and Evan Schilling rounding out your top 10. So we're starting to now finally get to the winding down portions of this race. With 85 laps complete, that means it's going to be about a 20-25 lap shootout when we get the green right here. I'm going to say shootout, more like a sprint. Still plenty of time, around a 2-mile oval. That's 50 miles left in this race. But, you know, if we start getting some cautions here, which cautions tend to breed cautions, that's less laps that you're going to have to try to make moves. So I think this is where you got to start picking up the aggression level. And if you're David Traylor, I think you may be a little bit more aggressive this time about trying to keep that clean air. And if you're Keith Prince, I mean, this is I don't know if it's quite make or break, but this is go for it here. I mean, this is a great opportunity that the 3 trucks in. And we look at points. Prince is close. So a win would certainly help him out. He's in right now, but could certainly be out, depending on how it goes for a couple other guys. Green flag back in the air. 25 laps to go at Michigan. Side by side into turn number 1 between the 2 leaders. Trailer looking low as he can go, in fact, and he is going to get clear. Keith Prince not with as much momentum as he would have liked to have had there off of turn number 2. Joe Yates is going to go around as well. Hegdahl is going to get to the inside. And where did Mark Beverly come from? Involved in the last wreck. Just like that, he's back up here, getting ready to potentially be fighting for a win. Beverly gets clear. Prince continues to fall back here. As there goes the 12 of Michael Newman. He's going to dive to the middle. And now if you're David Traylor, doing all you can to try to maintain whatever tires you can, but at the same time, trying to maintain the lead. Joe Yates is not going to let him do it that easy. You know the 87 is going to get there. And how about that? Your top 3. I mean, what a cool view that was. Through turn 1 and 2, they were all running half a lane to a lane higher than the other. As we again look at sim time, about 2:50 in the afternoon, and 100 degrees right now is the track temp. So it cooled down maybe just a little bit from what this race started out as. Overall, though, still very, very hot. I say very, very hot. Still hot enough, though, to make the track slick. And David Traylor, though, still holding on to the lead. Here comes Joe Yates, though. Eric Hegdahl hanging around in 3rd. Mark Beverly in 4th. And then a lot of separation as you get further back in the field. That's a mix of trucks with damage. But I'll tell you what, by the way, I forgot to say this, but Haas Beverly, another lap back, down to 4 laps down now. Problem, though, is that Colton Hardy is now 2 laps down, and he is out on track. So that's definitely going to hinder Haas Beverly's efforts unless he stays out for the free pass, which is potentially, or excuse me, a wave around, which might not be a bad idea. You never know. This thing's going to start getting really crazy here really soon. If Joe Yates gets here as they get to battle, and I think that's going to pull a couple others into the mix, and there he goes to the inside through 1 and 2. How hard does David Traylor run him right here? Oh, man, he puts it on his door. Doesn't want to let him get clear here. David Traylor trying to use the fact that he gets more momentum on the outside right now to his advantage. And it's just trying to find the right time of when you got to maintain that clean air, because, you know, if you're Joe Yates, right now you might, you know, feel like you have the truck to make a pass any time, but as each lap goes by, it's going to get harder and harder to make that pass. And at some point, it'll get to where whoever has the clean air, you just can't get around them unless you try some kind of crazy move, because they've just got that much more grip and the tires are gone. And Joe Yates, he wants it pretty bad. Oh, man, he's trying to slide up. Oh, he almost gets into Traylor again. May have even tapped the left front. Joe Yates is getting bolder and bolder here in each corner, but it's going to pay off because I think this time he should be able to get in the corner and slide clear. Is he going to do that? Yes, he is. He'll make sure he gets clear, but oh, one in the wall further back. It's Jesse Wise. Or no, it's not. It's Jonathan Hurt. No, it is Jesse Wise in the 69. What happened? That's not good news either. Again, this is a very, very aero-dependent track, similar to Daytona and Talladega, so any damage is a lot here versus if we were at, say, last week Richmond or something. All right, here we go. Watch this. It just shoots up the track on him. That's a really, really weird look. I'm assuming, let's watch the cockpit view. I think I know what he was trying to do here. Okay, I think what he was trying to do was go to the high side to get into the turn, but he just jumped up a little too high. At least that's my guess for now, but you can see the damage. He's got him struggling now, as I think he is either just or just about to lose touch with that lead draft. And once that's happened, you're going to need a caution here if you want a chance of getting back in this thing. Yates still on the inside, but how about this? Eric Hegdahl now the leader on the outside as David Traylor gives him a little friendly push off into turn number 1. On the bottom, Yates going to get clear again off of not quite a slide job, but a move similar to what we would call a slide job. The 88 of Jonathan Herbert, almost able to make the playoffs with a phenomenal run that he had at Daytona. Came up a bit short in the end, but you were just wondering what track he was going to have speed at next, and looks like we're finding out tonight, as it is Michigan at the 88. Even after some adversity throughout the race, has been able to overcome it, find himself a way to get himself in position to potentially find that first win of the season. And even if you're not in the playoffs, you know there's going to be a next season, so getting momentum at any time is always good momentum. Potentially end the season on a good note. The more races you win towards the end of the season, the higher that note's going to be. 18 laps now to go. Going to be 17 when we cross the stripe this time, and they are still 2x2. Top 4 throw them under a capsule, as I think a blanket might still be a little too big right now. These guys are door to door. Oh man, that was another close moment as Trailer and Hegdahl got a little bit bottled up off of turn 4 on the high side. So Hegdahl dives low with a big run, almost enough to potentially get clear, but Trailer is going to fight back by pushing the 87 of Yakes up top. Yakes is going to lose the spot just briefly here, but he's going to have enough momentum to try a crossover. Watch for the 87 here. Will he go back to the inside? Yes, he does. Joe Yakes back to the inside, gets a side draft on Eric Hegdahl. Going to pull a similar move here if you're Eric Hegdahl. Right at the top of the racetrack. Try to cross him back over down the straight, but he's not going to be able to do it. In fact, he fades a little bit here as Jonathan Herbert still wrapping the bottom of the racetrack. Trailer will now give a big push to the 11. There's the 13 of Mark Beverly just behind. What can he do here after getting involved in the last wreck and now working his way back up here? He wants to go for his 3rd win of the season. By the way, next place Ghost Racing Network heads is going to be on Monday night to the Fast Track Sim Racing Cup Series, as the No Mud Truck Series taking a week off. So again, we won't see anybody tomorrow night, but certainly would appreciate having any of you guys back on Monday night. We appreciate you tuning in here tonight. Hope that everyone is enjoying what's been a great race so far. Michigan certainly a driver favorite and even a broadcaster favorite. Just the way, I think it's still more of a driver favorite just because you get to make moves every single lap constantly. I mean, there's, again, really no breaking away, and if you save your tires right with everybody else, you can just keep doing what we're seeing out of these front 5 pretty much the entire race. And it could all come down to who makes the right move on that last lap. But Eric Hegdahl takes over the clean air at a pretty crucial time here. David Trailer still hot on his tail, but will a 54 make a move? Yes, he will. Looks to the inside here, tries to catch 11 sleep, and he's going to do it. David Trailer with a big slide job here as he's going to have to start working his way up the track, and he'll do just that. Another lead change. We've probably had about 5 of them here in just the last lap and a half or 2. And I guess that was maybe a little exaggerating, last 5 laps or so. Point is, these guys continue to trade blows right now. Eric Hegdahl still rolling up top. Jonathan Herbert in the middle. Mark Beverly starting to creep into the frame on the bottom now. Michael Newman and a couple others who may not have quite had the speed they wanted tonight also starting to show it off here a little bit in the late going. Now again, if we get a caution at any point, I would say from here on out, it's going to be a tough choice as a driver to determine exactly what you want to do here. You know, track position is important, but tires are pretty important at Michigan too, and it's a wide enough track to where you'll always have a lane to go. So we'll have to see who decides to go in, who stays out. We heard earlier that Jesse Wise had a set left over for this kind of scenario if we were to get a caution, and I think Jesse Wise right now is hoping we get one, as he is a must-win, and unfortunately right now he is about 4.3 seconds back from this lead pack as we continue to close in here on the end of this race. Well, they've single filed out just briefly the calm before the storm. So with that, we're going to take our final break of the night, go side by side. We'll be right back for the finish. Stick with us at Michigan. Welcome back to Michigan International Speedway. 9 laps to go, and the winning bid 220. If you're just tuning in, boy, you picked a good time to do it. The race up front is still going on, and we have got, oh, Michael Newman, hold on to it. Yes, he does. Another big moment as everybody continues to push a little bit more. Everybody's seeing how far these trucks can go in terms of the grip level. And by the end of this run here, which is going to be, of course, only about 8 laps, that's a pretty good chunk into the run where the tires are pretty worn, and these trucks should be slipping and sliding around pretty good for these final 5 laps or so. It seems like they already are. So, you know, I'm looking at so many guys up here that what a win would do for their season. But right now, the top 4, all drivers that well experienced, all drivers that you know are going to find victory lane at some point. Most of them have. David Traylor on the inside here in the 54. We're going to see if he can find it here tonight. It's been interesting because Traylor, instead of maybe the most dominant performance tonight, I wouldn't say that, but rather it's certainly been a very consistent performance here tonight for Traylor. He's had a good top 3 truck all night, but now he's looking to see if it's good enough to park in victory lane. Beverly, though, fighting hard on the outside, and this could come down to who does Eric Hegdahl work with, or does the 11 try to go for one himself and potentially split both of these guys? Right now, he's content to work with Mark Beverly up top in the 13 truck. Michael Newman rolling the top as well. And I'm kind of shocked, actually, that David Traylor is able to make, or rather even hold his ground on the bottom the way he is, because as the tires wear out, that bottom gets trickier and trickier to run, and they're already relatively worn out. So I would think Traylor's going to start to struggle here, and if I had to guess, he is probably really, really wanting to find a spot a little bit up the racetrack. Oh, man. Looked like Beverly was trying to maybe... Oh, out back. Michael Newman's going to go around here.
Caution is out. Caution is out.
Caution is out. Huge hit for the 12 of Michael Newman. And one more involved. Was that Joe Yakes? I'm trying to figure out exactly who it was. Yes, it was. The 87. Heavy damage as well as Michael Newman. Is that truck... Is the damage? Yeah, it's pretty... He's definitely banged up, so... Oh, boy. Now this is going to send us into a late race restart, potentially overtime. And, man, oh, man, what are we going to see now? This is getting ready to get exciting. Before we can talk about it, though, let's go back here and see what happens. I think Michael Newman maybe just gets loose here. We saw him get loose a couple times. Yeah, you can see right here he's already... Watch the wheel. Right there. He's trying to save it, but when they're just running this tight, there just wasn't room to save it. And, oh, that's a big hit for Joe Yakes, but I didn't see that initially. Michael Newman actually gets lucky here. He did not hit anything. I thought his wheel was a little offset, but that may have just been the offset he was running. And I was curious because I didn't see any damage on the rest of the truck. And watch this. The way he slides, he actually misses where the wall goes from kind of angled to straight. So lucky there for Michael Newman. Unfortunately, not so lucky for Joe Yakes, who absolutely clobbered the inside wall here. But watch this from the blimp cam here. Actually, we'll go to the chopper view. Play it slow for you. And they see Joe Yakes on the bottom, running the seam, but then as Newman starts to get loose, trying to drive out of it, and he's got to drive down the track to do so. That's just hard racing at the end. No real fault. I mean, obviously Newman's the one that gets loose, but nothing to be mad about at anybody there. Just one of them deals. And then there's the 87 of Yakes with, again, a huge hit to the inside wall. And then that's really what damages this 87 here, is he was trying everything to steer out of it, but just couldn't quite do it. And with damage like that, that's probably going to end his race, because he had to tow, and at this point, there's just not enough time to, I think, get that lap back. And tough break for Joe Yakes. Good news is Yakes, another driver who had a great regular season overall, and through the playoffs, he's been consistent. Found himself second in points coming into tonight, so he should be okay still. Just finishing the race, shouldn't have to worry about dropping out of the playoffs. But up front, as we do go back live, it's Nicholas Lawrence. Not a playoff driver, but still looking for his first win of the season. And he could get the job done tonight if he found a way. Boy, that would be something. Jonathan Herbert in second, up 13 positions from where he started. Another non-playoff driver looking to steal the spotlight tonight. Mark Beverly in third, David Traylor in fourth. Eric Hegdahl back in fifth, Keith Prince in sixth, Jesse Wise seventh, By the way, Jesse Wise really needed that caution. It looks like the right side's cleaned up, so not sure if he used a fast repair or just went and got it cleaned up naturally, but truck looks a lot better, and he may have a chance at this thing at the end as well. Evan Schilling back in 8th, Jeremy Tully 9th, and Michael Newman rounding out your top 10, and he is currently the last car on the lead lap. Colton Hardy 2 laps down. Still in the running, though, you never know. Jay Stinson in the 98, he is parked in the pits for now. There's Joe Yakes, looks like he's still parked, as is Clinton Woodby. And then Haas Beverly still 4 laps down with a clean truck, but just not enough time to get those laps back. So the lights are off on the pace car. That means we're going back green this time, and it will be a 3-lap shootout. And again, we've got to make it to the white flag, so got to make the first 2 laps under green for this race to be official. And if not, then we will go into our first overtime. Pick your favorite. How about Nicholas Lawrence, the underdog pick? Jonathan Herbert, what can he do? Mark Beverly, and one of the favorites tonight, David Traylor, Keith Prince. Jesse Wise had speed early. A lot of good trucks still in contention up here inside the top 5. As Julie Smith says, let's go, Jonathan Herbert. Let's see it. He's in a good spot. Can he get his first win here from the outside row? He's got to try to match Lawrence's restart. Pace truck makes a left turn, rolling up into the Geico restart zone for potentially the final time here tonight. 3 laps to go in the last race of the round of 16. Green flag is back in the air, and it's a great jump for Nicholas Lawrence. Right out of the gate, he is going to pull away to a comfortable lead. Don't want to get too far out in front, though, because you know the rest of the pack is going to reel you back in. Lawrence takes the high lane through 1 and 2 here. That allows Mark Beverly to quickly draw back even. Meanwhile, Jonathan Herbert fading as he gets split 3 wide up top. Looks like Herbert is going to fall all the way back to about 6th or 7th. We had one in the wall towards the back, but they save it and keep it going. 3 wide now up front. Hegdahl looking for where to go, and right now there is nowhere to go as David Traylor is going to get back clear. Mark Beverly drifts up top. Eric Hegdahl is looking for a push. No, he's not. He's going to look for a pass. Now the 3 of Keith Prince. He's going to get a pull. He might get clear of the 11 as well. Mark Beverly goes back up to the top of the racetrack. David Traylor, though, leads him into turn 1 with just a lap, or excuse me, just about a lap and 3/4 to go here at Michigan. Got to make it through one more set of corners to take the white flag for this race to be official. Traylor breaking the draft, doing anything he can to not let these guys catch up, and they might have realized here that they're going to have to do some pushing here if they want any chance to get back to that 54 truck. Side by side here, sliding up the track. That's the 3 of Keith Prince. He's going to drop down. 3 truck tandem on the bottom versus 1 up top. They are going to roll, and they are rolling big time here. Keith Prince with a big push, but now he's going to go up. That opens the door to Jesse Wise. 1 lap to go at Michigan. David Traylor still out in front. He loves what he's seeing in his mirror. That is a bunch of battling, and all that battling is all he needs to continue to scoot away down the backstretch. Final time down the back. 1 more set of corners to go. Jesse Wise doing whatever he can. He needs a win, but he's just not going to have enough time unless Keith Prince sends it in. Here we go. The 3 gets to the bottom of the 54. He's going to slide up the track. Is he getting to David Traylor? Here we go. It's a drag race out of 4 all the way to the checkered. Prince versus Traylor. Who gets it at the line? It's David Traylor by 2/100ths of a second. What an effort by Keith Prince, though. Out of nowhere into the final corner to get alongside David Traylor, but he kept it respectful, kept it clean. And David Traylor prevails tonight to capture the win. Well, he was already locked into the next round. This is just icing on the cake and more momentum to go along with it. What a win for David Traylor. We got to go back and look at this finish because, I mean, it was close. Looked like it was initially going to be even a lot closer than it was. Not sure if Traylor maybe made a last-second side draft here. Look how far back Keith Prince is here when he makes this move. And he's got to defend on the 69 of Wise. He does all of that and then somehow is able to keep this truck relatively on the bottom of the racetrack. Look at that. Never goes up. As you see Jesse Wise get turned around out back, and then the outside line gets a little bit more momentum here at Michigan. And right here, look how close it is as they come into the checkered. Man, what a finish. What a race. As David Traylor rides off into victory lane here tonight, burning it down over the Michigan International Speedway logo. And as he does so, take a look at your finishing results here on the night. David Traylor is your race winner. Keith Prince brings home second. Mark Beverly in third. Michael Newman fourth. Eric Hegdahl fifth. Jesse Wise in sixth. Jeremy Tolley back in seventh with Evan Schilling in eighth. Jonathan Herbert ninth. And Nicholas Lawrence rounding out your top 10. Colton Hardy finishes in 11th. Haas Beverly in 12th. Joe Yakes in 13th. Jay Stinson in 14th. Clinton Woodby in 15th. And Jesse Calloway rounds out the field tonight as he finishes in 16th. All right, we're going to see if we can get your top 3 in here for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Michigan. All right, we're going to start first tonight with your third place finisher, Mark Beverly. Mark, this is Austin in the booth. Got a copy.
Hey, what's going on?
Well, a good finish here tonight. You bring home second. Man, what great racing there at the end all the way to the finish. How'd you feel about it? And overall, how'd you feel about the third place finish?
It's okay. I'll take it, I guess. I wish we didn't have that last caution. Feel like I saved enough tires and I was getting out in front and could defend it from there. But with fresh tires, there's really nothing you can do with people getting runs everywhere with 2 laps. But overall, pretty fun race. I mean, Michigan's always awesome track to race. So, but yeah, we had a lot of fun and P3 is not terrible. So we'll take it.
Absolutely. Well, moving on to the next round of the playoffs with your finishing spot here tonight. So, it's kind of the mindset. Does it change a little bit as you go through each round, or do you kind of keep the same goal in mind and just do the same thing week in and week out?
Yeah, just keep trying to rack points up and stay in the top 5 or 4 at least, just in case somebody pops off a win below me. But just trying to make it a championship round there. So just trying to stay up there and get some points every week. That's the mindset, and maybe we'll catch a nice W here or there. But we'll see how it goes.
Absolutely. Well, before we let you head out here tonight, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, shout out to everybody watching. Shout out to everybody participating in the paints. Happy Memorial Day out there to everybody this weekend. Have some fun, drink some beers, or whatever you want to do. And thanks to our sponsors, and thanks to you.
Thank you, of course, for talking to us. Again, congrats on the third place finish, and we will see you next week in the round of 10.
Absolutely. Thanks.
All right, and now that'll bring us to your second place finisher here tonight, Keith Prince. Keith, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. I got you, Austin.
Well, man, you come up just a little bit short of the win, but overall what you needed tonight was good points, and you're able to get just that. Should have yourself locked in now, but, man, I'll tell you what, I don't know how you got as close as you did. The gaps that we saw the last couple of laps looked like Traylor had it. Going into 3, I sure thought he had it. How did you manage to get alongside him, and was there anything that you wish maybe you would have done a little different there with only a 200th of a second gap separating you guys at the line?
No, there's not really anything I think I could do any different. I just got a really good run. I didn't lift in 1 and 2. I knew it was the last lap. I stayed in it, had to protect on the outside, and then got a big run. Got a good draft off of David going into 3. I had a huge run, so I just dove to the bottom and hoped it would stick, and it did. He kind of came down there with me. I was hoping he'd stay a little higher. That was my only chance to really clear him, and it was a drag race to the finish. Being my teammate, if I'm not going to win, it's good to see one of them win, and we were side by side talking in the Discord coming to the line that it was a drag race and wishing each other luck, and he got it.
Certainly did, and boy, you performed tonight. How did you kind of bounce back after having, of course, a rough week last week, a couple things that didn't go your way that weren't even necessarily your fault? And, as a driver, when you have a rough week like that, how do you kind of put it to the side and come out and have a dominant performance like you did tonight?
I mean, it's a new week. You just got to go out and try to execute. Actually, tonight caught a lot of breaks, had a penalty starting off. I was reading something that popped up in the Discord. Looked up, one of my teammates hollered at me about the grid, and I looked up and it was on 1 second. And I I missed the grid on top of that. So the early caution kind of helped me out there because it was right after I started my penalty, let me catch up to the field. And then late, I decided to save my last set of tires, so I kind of lost the pack and got caught another break with another caution. So overall, I got to chalk this one up to a lot of luck.
Well, a lot of luck, but overall, the way you needed it to go. So before we let you head out here tonight, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Hey, of course, thank you. Always doing a great job on the broadcast. The other guys in the league, they make it a lot of fun. Mark, Koss, Tyler, all the work they put into this league, all the sponsors that support us. Big shout out to David, giving me the draft there. He kind of helped me through the pack a little bit, dropping down, giving me air, helping me on those last 3-4 laps we had there, helping me clear through the field. Give a shout out to my teammates are here: Rick Lepage, Brody Bate, Even Schilling got 8th place there, and of course, big shout out to David Taylor there for getting the win.
Thank you, of course, for talking to us. Congrats on the 2nd place finish, and we will see you next week in the round of 10.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Austin.
All right, and now that'll bring us to your race winner here tonight, David Traylor. David, this is Austin in the booth. Got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Austin.
Well, you bring home the win, and what a way to do it. Drag racing with your teammate all the way to the stripe. But, man, I talked about it tonight. You were consistent top 3 truck all night, but that final restart seemed like you were actually pulling away from everybody for a while, which we hadn't seen all night. And then it comes down to that drag race. Kind of break us down. What was going through your head through that?
Yeah, over the course of the first probably 50 or 60 laps, I learned how to drive it on a short run, and then actually learned how to drive it on a long run. I learned where to be faster and what worked, what didn't kill my tires. But yeah, there on that last run, I knew, coming out with fresh tires, it was pretty much like running qualifying laps. Just I don't think I lifted. I knew it would stick. I hope it would stick. And there on that restart, I got a pretty good jump. Unfortunate for really the 11, he didn't get the best of restarts. That allowed me to slide down and take the bottom, which I really wanted there. So, but yeah, once I got clear and saw them 2 and 3 wide behind me, I knew I just needed to just keep an eye on the draft and just hit my marks.
Absolutely. You did a phenomenal job at that. And, now that you've kind of, you're already on top in points, and then you get the win here tonight, it's just going to continue to add to the momentum. So going into Charlotte next week, how you feel about your chances to go back-to-back?
Well, we had Charlotte last week on Saturday, and I actually ran a lot better than I thought I would. So learned a lot there last week. So hopefully I can correlate that into a Friday night run. Being first in points helps. It's a little bit of breathing room, but with how close these guys are and how fast this group is, all it takes is one bad run to kind of derail that. So I feel pretty good about Charlotte. You always have a little bit of a high coming off a win. So hopefully we can carry this momentum to the next round of the playoffs.
Absolutely. Well, before we let you head out here tonight to go celebrate in Victory Lane, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Oh, yeah. First, thanks to my teammates, Evan and Keith. Really super fun battle there with Keith at the end. I was kind of trying to help him get clear. I knew I could give him a little bit of air off of the nose going down the straightaway. Trying to help him clear who he was racing with. So thanks to them, they raced me clean all the time. Thanks to the league admins here, Mark and Haas. They put on a great league. I know we had a little bit of a smaller field. It's a holiday weekend, but still some really fun racing. Thanks to Rick LePage Designs for actually designing the truck this week. Probably didn't win the paint contest, but I think it looks great. I'm glad I got a win in the special scheme. Thanks to JC Newman and Mushroom Top T. And then thank you to my dad watching at home and my fiance for letting me do this.
Thank you, of course, for talking to us. Again, congrats on the win, and we will see you next week at Charlotte.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Austin.
All right, that's going to wrap up our coverage here tonight for the winning bid 220. David Traylor, your winner. Next week, we advance to the round of 10. 6 drivers will be eliminated. Make sure you tune into that one at Charlotte Motor Speedway, same time on the same network. Thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, I hope you enjoyed. That's it for me, Austin Green, on Ghost Racing Network. Till next time.